If you're looking for ways to make learning your spellings that little bit more interesting, then here are my 10 top tips. The best way to learn your spellings is a hotly debated topic. But one thing I've learned is that the whole process can be made far more bearable if it's interesting. So here are my top 10 tips on how to take the ugh out of learning your spellings. There's a whole variety of ways that you can learn your spellings without having to sit down and write them out on a piece of paper. So get creative. You can use mini whiteboards, magnetic letters, and using short pens on a window is unsurprisingly always very, very popular. But it's super easy to clean up afterwards, and if you do a good job, you'll get some extra bonus points from the parents for cleaning the inside of their windows. You can even use chalk in an outside space. Just maybe not in the depths of winter. Next, try just focusing on the tricky part of the word. So here you see with examples like environment and February, they've got those little tricky bits in the middle. And when I'm learning them, I actually say them out loud so that it really, really sticks in my brain. But I am just focusing on the tricky part. So environment and February. And here with this word separate, which is always a tricky one, I get my students to just focus on the tricky part in the middle because that's where the mistakes do tend to lie. And I get them to think paragraphs, paras, separate your writing. So you should see para in the middle of separate. So try just focusing on the tricky part of the word. And if you don't fancy focusing on the tricky, why not focus on the things that you can already do? I know my life became easier when I realised that sincerely was just a combination of since and rely, 2 words I could already spell. And again here in believe, it has a lie in the middle of it, a shorter word, much easier to spell, that's going to help you spell the longer, more complex word. Word searches and crosswords are fantastic ways to get you to engage with your spelling list. There are plenty of free online tools that help you turn your spelling lists into word searches, but also look up your words, engage with the definition and turn them into crosswords. Set them for friends, set them for family, and you are getting the benefit of engaging with the number of letters and the shape of the word to help it stay in your head. Next, try writing in different colours. It is a really, really simple way to get the information to stand out to you on the page. You can even make up your own system, whether or not you do like I tend to do and pick out the sort of keywords or the tricky bits in a certain colour. But you could also maybe pick out letters that you can't hear or sounds that you can't hear in the word in a set colour, so that you know when you come to record the information in your head, it's really visual. You can see it stand out. Try turning your spelling into a whole phrase to help you remember. The first letter of each word in the phrase can represent the letters for the word that you're trying to spell. So big elephants can always understand small elephants becomes an easy way to remember because if you take the first letter of each word, and dash in a real rush, hurry or else accident is a great way to remember how to spell diarrhea. It's the only one I could think of. So, yeah. Never underestimate the power of song, music, rhythm and rhyme to really help things stick in your brain. Mrs. D, Mrs. I, Mrs. FFI, Mrs. C, Mrs. U, Mrs. LTY is a classic one from Roald Dahl's Matilda. M-I-S-S, S-I-S-S, I-P-P-I. Again, the flowing rhythm helps us spell Mississippi. And for some bizarre unknown reason, I've always been able to spell rhododendron because when I had to learn it as a child, I put it into a rhythm, R-H-O-D-O-D-E-N-D-R-O-N, and I can still spell it to this day without even thinking. To give it a go, create earworms, because we know they all stick. Did you know learning to touch type is a brilliant way to improve your spellings, really helping with that muscle memory? There are some great tutorials right here on YouTube, and if nothing else, you'll be learning a cracking life skill. When it comes to learning your spellings, what better way than to play? Playing word games with your family and friends is really going to help improve the quality of your spelling. Particularly with this one, Boggle, I personally found that my spelling improved because I was learning to add prefixes and suffixes by copying off what other people were doing. Realising that adding ed to the end of a word or dis at the beginning of the word made it longer and gave me more points. So I was learning and improving my spellings and having quite a lot of fun at the same time. You've probably heard this once or twice before from your English teacher, but reading really is one of the best ways to improve your spelling. But not only that, your grammar, your range of vocabulary, or while you're sitting enjoying a book. And if the thought of reading fills you with complete dread, then please don't give up. You just haven't yet found your genre or your style or your author. But when you do, you really will fall in love with the book. So that's it, my top 10 tips for helping you to learn your spellings. But remember, you're not expected to do all of these things all of the time. But throwing in a couple of these techniques can really help those tricky spellings stay put. Thanks for watching.